वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. Welcome to this 12th session of Gita Jayanti celebration. Today, we are going to study 6 selected shlokas from 13th chapter named as Kshetra Kshetragna Vibhaga Yoga. With the dawn of New Year 2021, we are going to start studying a few Upanishads. Every Upanishad starts with a Shanti mantra of the Veda from which it is drawn. One such beautiful Shanti mantra with which Mundaka, Mandukya, Kaivalya and Prashnopanishad begin is Bhadram Karne Vishrunuyama Devaha. All these Upanishads are drawn from Atharvana Veda. Sri Villas is going to explain the meaning and significance of this Shanti mantra after the Gita study. Today's chanting of Gita shlokas from chapter 15 will be done by Srimati Pannaga and Ms. Diksha. Now it's time for our Gita class. Hegde sir, please.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam, Pangum langayate girim, Yat kripa tamaham vande, Paramananda Madhavam. We enter into the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita titled Kshetra Kshetragna Vibhaga Yoga. From now on, we start the Jnana Yoga portion of the Bhagavad Gita. In Vedanta, there are certain teaching methodologies called prakriyas, and we will see one of them today. Examples of prakriya are Avastha Traya Viveka, Panchakosha Viveka, and in this chapter we will see the famous Drik Drishya Viveka. What is Drik Drishya Viveka? Drik Drishya Viveka here means, Drishya means the object of my experience, Drik means the seer. I, the seer, I am other than whatever I experience. Whatever I experience is something other than me. So I experience all objects around me. It belongs to not me or anatma. I experience my body. My body comes under the domain of whatever I experience or anatma. I see my mind trying to explain Drik Drishya Viveka. This also comes under not me or anatma. Then who is the Drik? The Drik is the real me who is the witness of this body and mind. I function through this body and mind. This body and mind is only an instrument. And the more you see this segregation, you understand that whatever happens to the world around me, including my body and mind, should not affect me because it is of a lower order of reality compared to the real me who is functioning through this body and mind. And this is a great liberating experience, which we will experience in this chapter, the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Swami Paramarthananda ji has given us 2 fundamental laws of Vedanta. And in this chapter, we are talking about the first fundamental law, which I already said is I am different from whatever I experience. So from here on, we have Drik Drishya Viveka, or also Atma Anatma Viveka. This is considered the first step and the ultimate step in Vedanta. It can be called as the Alpha and the Omega. There is no teaching more fundamental, more transformational than the understanding that I am someone other than the body. This message has to be so clearly understood, because as long as I identify with this body, I become a limited individual, I become a karta, I become a bhokta, I become a parichinna, I become limited, and the world will certainly affect me, and I'm affected by samsara. The ultimate final teaching in the Bhagavad Gita, verse 66 in the 18th chapter goes, Sarva dharman api parityagya, which really means, again, Sri Krishna is talking about body disidentification. there are certain synonyms for this Atma, Anatma, Viveka, which in this chapter comes as Kshetra, Kshetrajna. I am the Kshetrajna, the one who is experiencing. It is also in this chapter we will study about the Purusha, Prakriti, Viveka. This chapter also has originally 34 verses, but around the 16th century, when Madhusudana Saraswati wrote an excellent commentary on the Bhagavad Gita titled Gudhartha Deepika, he introduced certain dhyana shlokas, and he also introduced an additional verse in this chapter which comes in the same meter, and therefore many subsequent teachers have included this particular verse as verse number 1 of the 13th chapter. If this is taken as verse 1, then we have 35 verses, and the Bhagavad Gita will have 701 verses. You will know that Adi Shankara in his commentary has not commented on this particular verse because it was not there in the original. And this can be responsible for sometimes a confusion in the numbering of the verse. Dr. Netra will explain to us the second verse, also the first verse. Over to you, Dr. Netra.
Namaste. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So we are starting with the Charama Shataka, Antama Shataka, and I'll be talking on the first verse. So as Sir explained, the first verse before Bhagavanu Vacha, where Arjuna is asking 6 Paribhasha Shabdaha. These Paribhasha Shabdaha are technical names which are used in the Gita. So these are going to be discussed in today's class. So coming to the next slide. So the next slide, sir. So the verse proper goes as Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetramithya Vidhiyate Etadyo Veti Tam Prahu Kshetrajna Iti Tad Vidaha. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. Bhagavan is telling us, Idam Shariram, this body is Kaunteya, O Arjuna, is Kshetram. Etadyo Veti. The wise men say that Kshetrajna is the all-knower principle. So here the word Kshetra basically means the material universe, that is the world, body, mind. Our body is subjected to multiple troubles and torments, and these are called as tapaha. So either these tapaha can be from our own body itself, adi daivika, adi adhyatmika, which results in lot of diseases, or it could be adi bhautika because of the environment, or adi daivika because of the natural forces. So because of all this, the body is tormented, it is burning, and the same fire eventually results in cremation. That is the reason the body is also called as Kshetra by Adi Shankaracharya ji. Coming to the other analogy of Kshetram, if we take an example of seeds which are just kept on a surface, it will not be able to fructify into a plant just like that. It will need an intermediary substance, that is a wet cultivated land where the seeds can be put, and eventually it will grow and fructify into a plant. Now, if we take this analogy into our life, the prarabdhas in our life are present as seeds. So these prarabdhas have to get converted into papa, punya, karma, and eventually lead to sukham or dukham. But if that prarabdha karma has to get converted into papa, punya, karma, it has to go through an intermediary substance, that is the body or kshetram. So body is referred to as the intermediary substance, the kshetram, which eventually leads to papa, punya, karma. Next slide, sir. So another way of talking about Kshetram is, if we see this pathway, this is the visual pathway when we are seeing the world. So this pathway consists of 3 sets of seer and seen, or the experiencer and the experienced principles. The first set is the world and the I, whereas the world is the seen and I becomes a seer. The second set, that is between the I and the mind. The I or the body becomes a seen and the mind becomes a seer. The third set is between the mind and the consciousness, where the mind becomes a seen and the consciousness becomes a seer. So if you see, the consciousness is the ever seer principle and never the seen. The rest of the three, that is the word, I, body, mind, always is the seen, which goes into changes, and that is the reason they are the kshetra. It is like when we are awake, we are able to experience the world because of the body and mind. But when we are sleeping, still we are able to experience, and that is not because of the body and mind, but because of the consciousness or the kshetrajna principle. Next slide, sir. So now we realize that an individual is a culmination of a body plus consciousness, kshetram plus kshetrajna. For example, if a fan has to give us air, it will be able to give only if it is connected to electricity. Electricity by itself will not give air, nor the fan by itself. So both has to act together to give us air. So that is the reason an individual is a culmination of both kshetram as well as the kshetrajna, or the body and the consciousness. So if we remember how we identified ourselves before we started the study of Vedanta, we identified ourselves as the body. I am this, I am that, I am so and so, I am doctor. But eventually, with the study of Vedanta, we have realized that I am the body with an Atma. But with continuous nididhyasanam, there should be a shift in our focus so that we start identifying ourselves as I am the Atma with an incidental body. So the shift has to happen from paroksha jnanam to aparoksha jnanam, and identify ourselves as the Atma with an incidental body. So this is the essence of this verse. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Netra, for an excellent explanation of the opening two verses. We will proceed to verse 3 by Dr. Divakar. Over to you, Dr. Divakar.
Thank you, sir. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Chapter 13, verse 3. Kshetragnam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata kshetragnayor gnanam yatta gnanam matam mama. This shloka is a Mahavakya shloka and is a very important shloka. Mahavakya is a statement which reveals the essential oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma. Jivatma Paramatma Aikya Bodhaka Vakyam Mahavakyam. Let's look at the meaning of this beautiful verse. Kshetragna is Jivatma as understood from the previous verse. Kshetram is body, mind and the world, the BMW. Gna is the awareness or sentient principle. So Kshetragna is the Chetana Tattvam, sentient consciousness in every Kshetram. Mam Vidhi Bharata, O Arjuna, Vidhi, become aware. Know that Kshetragna is none other than Mam, me alone. Mam is Lord Krishna representing Paramatma. So Kshetragna Jivatma is Krishna Paramatma. Mam Kshetragna is the Mahavakya Vichara, Jivatma Paramatma Aikya Vichara. Then Krishna says, Mam Sarva Kshetreshu. It is me alone who is in every Kshetram. It is the same sentient Atma which is the content in every Kshetram, which is the container. Atma is all pervading. It is Sarvagataha. So we have many Kshetrams, many containers with the different names and forms, but only one content, that is Kshetram, which is the consciousness principle, Atma. So the same Atma is called as Jivatma when it is reflected at Vyasti, microcosmic individual level, and the very same Atma is called as Paramatma when reflected at Samasti, the macrocosmic universe level. The apparent duality between Jivatma and Paramatma is because of the medium, because of the container, that is Jiva and Parama. but not the content, which is the Atma. Therefore, Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam is not an event which occurs, but it is the realization with Atma Jnanam and shifting the focus from the duality of Jiva and Parama to the non-duality of Atma and realizing the oneness in Jivatma and Paramatma, which was always there. Let's try and understand this further with an example of wave and ocean. We will see that in the next slide. Remember, every example has its own limitation. Let's compare the wave to Jivatma and the ocean to Paramatma. Clearly, there is a duality here because wave is small with lesser attributes compared to ocean. And a wave takes its birth from the ocean and dies as it reaches the shore. On the other hand, ocean, despite its superior attributes, has a lifespan, albeit a very long one. Now, the Vedantic wisdom is essentially both the wave and the ocean is water only. Water is the wave and ocean Aikya Vichara. A Gnani or a knowledgeable wave identifies itself as the water, the Kshetragna, which is its original nature, and recognizes that the wave form is only incidental and feels a total merger with the ocean. When this learned wave reaches the shore, there is no fear, as it knows very well that it returns back to the ocean as water or gets evaporated and returns as rain, as though it is immortal. Whereas the ignorant wave identifies itself as Kshetram and feels sorrow on coming down and enjoys on going up. And eventually it worries the moment when it sees the shore, as its end will be imminent. Swami Paramarthanandaji beautifully explains how the Vedantic wisdom helps us to grow stepwise to realize the ultimate truth that we will see in the next slide. Step 1 is before the Vedantic knowledge, I identify myself as this body and mind. That is, I am Kshetram. Step 2, on starting the spiritual journey, I realize that I am a combination of both Kshetram, the body mind, as well as the Kshetragna, the consciousness, the awareness principle behind. Step 3, on deeper understanding, I realize that I am the immortal Kshetragna with this incidental body and mind. Step 4, on Nididhyasanam, on Vedantic meditation, I realize that me, the Kshetragna, is also there in every body and everywhere, in all Kshetrams. So this is called as Sarvatma Bhava. And step 5, I realize and abide to the Ekatma Bhava, that is Kshetragna in Paramatma and Kshetragna in me, Jivatma, are one and the same. Jivatma Paramatma Aikya Vichara. In this verse, Krishna is asking Arjuna and all of us to clearly understand the knowledge of Kshetram and Kshetragna so that we can identify and anchor to our higher nature, which is Kshetragna, and recognize that we are always Purnam, we are always immortal, and continue to operate with this incidental lower identity of body, mind, and the world for the transactional purpose. Krishna says this teaching of discrimination between Kshetram and Kshetragna, Kshetra Kshetragna Viveka, is the ultimate knowledge. Kshetra Kshetragnayor Gnanam Yatta Gnanam Matam Mama. Hari Om, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Divakar, for an excellent explanation of this Mahavakya verse and to also make it very clear what is a Mahavakya and how it is able to bring us liberation through a nice example. Dr. Sundar will tell us about Neyam, that which is worth knowing. Over to you, Dr. Sundar.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Let's see the verse, sir. Next slide. Neyam yattat pravakshyami yajñātvāmrutam ashnute anādimat param brahma nasattanna saduchyate. Lord Krishna now comes to the fourth Paribhasha Shabda, which is Jneyam. As we see in the next slide, Jnayam is described as the ultimate truth in this universe, most supreme knowledge, knowledge of all knowledge, and that knowledge which everybody should know because it is worth knowing. And one may wonder, why is this being glorified so much? That we shall see in the second line, as is shown in the next slide. The Lord says, Yajñātva amrutam ashnute. Having known this knowledge, one will attain immortality. However, this knowledge is not like any other. This is of the form of Jivatma Paramatma Aikya Aparoksha Jnanam. This was beautifully explained by Dr. Divakar in the example of wave, ocean, and water. So the teaching is, if I can identify with the essential oneness, which is of the nature of changeless, which is of the nature of fulfillment, complete happiness, then there will not be a roller coaster ride of joy and sorrow of samsara, because I stop looking at the outside world for my individual happiness. In the next slide, we shall see Lord describing Jnayam with further adjectives. He says Jnayam is Param Brahma. He's saying that this is the supreme Brahman. Brahman is derived from the word Brihat, which means the big, superlatively big, not in comparison to something as bigger or biggest. Often, for want of a proper word, the word beyond is used. However, if we take the example of a dream, the dream is a creation in the mind of a person in totality. The dream time and space in no way affect the waker when he wakes up. So when you say the waker is beyond a dream time and space, actually we are talking of two planes of reality. So the more appropriate word would be that rather than using beyond, we use free from or unaffected by, just like the waker is unaffected by the happenings in the dream. Another example is one of the movie screen as being beyond of what is happening in the movie. So the word beyond is not correct. Rather, we can say that the screen is free from and unaffected by happenings in the movie. There are two terms which describe this more appropriately in English. One is that Brahman is immanent in and through the creation, intimately associated with all aspects of creation. However, he is transcendent also. That means that he is free from and he is unaffected. So this has to be understood when we use the word sarvagatam and nityam, that this is a plane of reality which is what not is our experience in day-to-day life. Now we come to the last line, as seen in this next slide. Next slide, sir. So here Brahman or Jnayam is being described as neither Sat nor Asat. Normally we see the usage of word Sat as that which is independently existent as used for Brahman. However, here it may sound as a confusing expression, but here it means that Brahman is neither effect nor the cause. The usage of Sat is because the effect is manifest and as good as existent, thereby being called as Sat. And the cause is unmanifest, not existent, and thereby qualifies to the usage of Asat. However, both the cause and the effect, the manifest and the unmanifest, both belong to material aspect. And Jnayam or Brahman is beyond both of this. Similar expressions have been used in the other chapters also, as depicted in this chart. And Brahman is Purushottama, Sarva Bhutanam Bijam, and Avyaktat Vyakta Sanatana, is beyond matter. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar, for another clear explanation of this verse, which brings about what is called Gneyam, that which is worth knowing, that which knowledge is liberating and which makes you transcendental. By transcendental, the original Sanskrit word is asangaha, not affected by whatever happens around you. And this is the beauty of this chapter. And in this chapter, you get a flavor of the Upanishads. Dr. Ravi Shankar, will you explain the next verse, please?
Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Jyotishamapi tat jyotihi tamasah paramuchyate jnanam gneyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya vishthitam. This is an important Upanishadic verse. The essence is to understand that Sadrupa Brahman, which is formless, pure existence, is the same as Chitrupa Atma, the consciousness principle. And the importance and the highlight in this verse is towards the consciousness principle. We should remember the properties of the consciousness principle to understand this verse better. This Chit or consciousness Brahman is Jyotisham api Jyoti, a special phrase taken from the Upanishads by the Lord himself. You can see these two verses in the next slide, which highlights that it has been taken by the Upanishads. From Mundaka, Jyotisham Jyotisar, and from the Kathopanishad, Suryo Bhakti. In the next slide, we will understand this important question of what is light. Vedanta explains that light means in whose presence all things are known or recognized. The Surya, Chandra, Agni, Vidyut Shakti or electricity are examples. For that matter, even the eye, the ear, the mind, sense organs are light. Word itself is light. In a pitch dark room, a word of instruction to be careful is light. So, instrument of knowledge is light. We see this picture of light on the eye. Which is a greater light? The light on the eye, the mind, or the light of consciousness principle which enlivens and makes us aware of all these lights. In the next slide, we know that it is that light of light which is Jyotisham api Jyoti. In its presence, all is known. In its absence, there is inertness and nothing is known. This consciousness principle, which gives awareness to recognize the brain, the sense organs, the sun, the moon, the stars, and even the lightning, is Jyotisham api Jyoti. In the next slide, we see Tamasaha Paramuchyate. The light of consciousness is unique. While sunlight can drive away darkness, it cannot illuminate. Swami Paramarthanandaji gives an example, like Mr. Sun trying to marry Miss Darkness. Consciousness alone can coexist with darkness and make us aware of that darkness or ignorance. It is Param, it is absolute. And Tamasaha Param suggests that it is beyond Maya. Jnanam, Gneyam, Jnanagamyam in the next slide shows that Satchit Brahma is in the form of everything. Formless existence, consciousness appears like a formed universe. Like an intangible energy can be converted to tangible matter, a non-tangible Brahman is the ultimate cause of this tangible universe, which is Jagat Karana. Jnanam, the word means, is a means of knowledge, which is Brahman. Gneyam, as so well described, is the object of knowledge, which is Brahman. And the subject of knowledge is also Brahman, as you can see in the next slide. Therefore, Gneyam is that alone which is worth knowing. O Arjuna, this is the ultimate truth that need be known by man rather than fritter away this human life. The knower, knowing instrument, known object, the goal, all is Brahman. Sarva Brahmamaya Jagat. In the next slide, we see Hridi Sarvasya Vishtitam. Chit Atma is everywhere. Like electricity is in all the wires, but can be tapped in a plug point. Now, Atma can be tapped in the Hridi, and it refers to the mind in this context. I am is consciousness. Awareness of the presence or absence of thoughts is that Sakshi or witness principle. In the next slide, we see the highlight. Kshetrajna, which has been described earlier, and Gneyam are the same consciousness principle. Kshetrajna is Jivatma, body from the microcosmic standpoint. Gneyam is Paramatma Brahman or Jagat from the macrocosmic standpoint. Like Nidra Shakti can create a dream world and a dream body, consciousness principle through Maya Shakti creates Chidrupa in the body mind and existence in the Satrupa or the Jagat. The highlight is always the consciousness principle, which is Chidrupa in this particular verse. Hari Om Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi Shankar, for another wonderful explanation. This is true Gita Jayanti festival to go back into these beautiful words of the Bhagavad Gita and see them so nicely explained. As you have in one of these Shanti Pata, Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, let us relish. And this is the true relishment. We have two more beautiful verses of this chapter to relish. Dr. Kiran, please.
Good evening. Upadrushtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti cha yukto dehismin purusha paraha. The Supreme Purusha in this body is said to be the proximate witness, the supporter, sustainer, experiencer, is the great Lord, the Supreme Self. This, next slide please. This important verse talks about Atma Swarupa. After knowing Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshana, Lord Krishna is taking us deeper into Atma Rupa Ishvara Darshana. When we look at the beautiful nature, golden hued sunrise, it is easy to accept universe as God. But are we ready to know the God inside us? Buckle up and be ready for the journey of lifetime. Next slide. Upadrushta. Lord says he is the close witness. Upa is a beautiful word, Upanishad like that. Close, how close is he? Like heat of the fire, illumination, principle of the light, and the seeing in the eyes, the hearing in the hear, and is the thoughtness in the thoughts. In short, Purusha pervades every cell of my body, and he is the Sakshi from waking, dream to sleep. He sees us through from childhood to old age. Every cell of my body is replaced every 7 years, but he sees us through and blesses them all. Next slide. Is Atma an energy or some medium through which all this action takes place, or is it just a space? No, he is Maheshwaraha. The real Lord is free and not dependent on anything. Ishvara, as we know, is Brahman with Maya. Maya is under control of Ishvara. In his mere presence, this world, body, mind, thought become enlivened. Sanidhya matrena. All energy, space have attributes and limitations, but God is beyond limitations. Para, that is, nadi ke us par mein hai. Because of his blessings, thoughts, whether good or bad, become sentient. The body world comes into existence. I will tell the Ramana Shri story. Once an Australian seeker came to Ramana Maharshi and asked, what is God and who is God and where is he? Ramana just shook his hand like this and closed his eyes. And on persistent, he asked, what is this hand made up of? Skin, bone, flesh, muscles, etc., and ultimately chemicals. And Ramana said, I will make any chemical that move by itself. What commands this hand to move by itself? What commands this thought to think? Under whose blessings the seed springs to life, the flower blooms. He is God and he is the ultimate seer. Next slide, please. Yeah. God alone exists. The same Maheshwara is both Jivatma and Paramatma. Paramatma iti yukta is a Mahavakya. This two Mahavakyas occurring in within 20 verses. The Supreme Purusha, the Supreme Self in this body, is the real seer, supporter, and sustainer, is the Dehi in Deha, is Sarvam Brahmamaya Jagat. In fact, I am the same Purusha, Dehi, the same, like a same object reflected in differently in different mirrors. I appear as different beings in through different upadhis called body-mind complex. Be careful here. Jivatma is not equal to Paramatma. The essential nature, Atma, is same in both. When we talk about Jivatma and Paramatma, we are in the realm of cause-effect relation. He is beyond cause and effect. Both time, past, present, and future is now for him. In fact, time and space rests in him. This knowledge is not experiential, it is transformational. Next slide. Here, an important corollary we can understand that cause is never separate from creation. The wood is never separate from the chair. And here, wood, chair, and carpenter is same. It is not that God is sitting somewhere and creation is somewhere else. In short, welcome to the world of Upanishad. You got to see it personally through Guru and no belief like it is written in some books, etc. Come and see. This verse is derived mainly from Kena Upanishad. Krishna condenses two verses of it in one word, Anumanta. Kene Shitam Pratati Presitam. Driven by what? The mind descends on things enjoined with what does the vital breath operates? The student asks. The teacher says, Shrotasya Shrotam is the ear of the ear, mind of the mind, speech of the speech. Knowing the real and give up the self identification from this body and world, they become one with Brahman. That is the next verse, Purusha Prakriti is derived from it. This can happen only through Guru Prabhupada. To get this privilege of knowing and sharing this knowledge, even punyam of 1,000 janmas is not enough. It can happen only through Guru Krupa, grace of Guru. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kiran, for a nice explanation and also for the realization. And this is the beauty when these Upadrashta, Anumanta, when you're able to understand the real meaning of these verses, one is so grateful to the Guru Tattva, the Guru principle, who has brought out this understanding for all of us. This is the beauty of this chapter. We have one more concluding verse. Dr. Komal, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So coming to the last verse, 35th verse of 13th chapter. Kshetra Kshetragna Yorevam Antaram Gnana Chakshusha Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha Ye Viduryanti Te Param. So Sri Krishna gives the final benefit of this knowledge. That's the moksha itself. Moksha, of the freedom. Freedom for who? Who gets the freedom? The one who has got the discrimination between Kshetra and Kshetragna. The wise people recognize the distinction, difference between Kshetra and Kshetragna. A difference between the Purusha and Prakriti. The difference between consciousness and matter. That's what the wise people recognize. And how do they recognize, how do they know this difference? Through Gnana Chakshu, the eye of wisdom or the eye of knowledge. With penetrating, discerning eye of wisdom. So the sense organs by themselves cannot differentiate this. Just as we can't differentiate electricity and fan, it's only by sense organs we can't differentiate that. It is an understanding. The light on my hand, light and hand, they are not physically separated, but we recognize them as two intellectually. Similarly, in the brain and consciousness, though we put them in a similar basket when we think about it, they are not one and the same. Brain is matter, consciousness is a separate principle. So, Sri Krishna mentions about the four differences. One is Chetana, another is Achetana, sentient, insentient, consciousness and matter. Nirgunam, Sagunam, attributeless and the attributed. Nirvikaram, Savikaram, consciousness is changeless, matter is ever changing. Sri Krishna wants to emphasize the fourth difference in this shloka, which is the most important and technical difference. And what is that? Consciousness alone exists independently. Matter cannot exist independently. So consciousness has got intrinsic existence. Matter has got only borrowed existence. I, the consciousness, exist independently. The whole world is like a movie running in me. But just as movie cannot taint the screen, the mithya prapancha cannot affect me. The Satya Purusha. So mithyatvam of what? Mithyatvam of matter, which is indirectly includes the Satyatvam of consciousness. Next slide, sir. So the key take home of this chapter, the fundamental law what we learned is that I am different from whatever I experience. So coming to our day-to-day lives, we are all concerned about our screen time, especially the children playing online video games. Even for us adults, it has become part of our life, the virtual time. Right now, you are seeing me on a screen. Virtual world has invaded our lives and we experience real emotions, happiness and enjoyment when we see friends' messages in WhatsApp, the urgency, seriousness in Zoom meetings. So virtual reality has become part of our lives. There are even apps to calculate to reduce our screen time, digital well-being. Your screen time is 6 hours, 8 hours, like that. The apps will show us so that we can reduce further. Sri Krishna's teaching here, it makes us to conclude that actually our virtual time really is 24 hours per day, including the time we take for our sleep. Everything is virtual. Because if we disregard and neglect, according to the fundamental principle that I am different from whatever I experience, every object we experience, we temporarily disregard the noise and clutter of the mundane world. Then what remains? We'll do a thought experiment. So here in the slide, I've put it as a SOP, like so that the Krishna in the shloka, he mentions about wise people, how they make this difference. So as a thought experiment, we'll do it ourselves. Wear the goggles of wisdom, eye of knowledge, temporarily. Then what do we see? The computer in front of you is mithya. The table is kshetra, mithya. The home, road, car, children, parents, office, hospital, mithya. Volcano, coronavirus, you can experience, you can see them, you can experience. They're all mithya. Stars, sun, ocean, you can experience. Chocolate, coffee, flower, mountain, you think anything. Then come to the near ones. Our hands, legs, body, face, eyes, ears, everything. We can experience each one of them, even our body parts. Our brain, can we experience our brain? Yes, I have a brain. I get headache. I have a head. It's an object of experience. My mind, I can experience my mind going through emotional turmoil. It's an object of experience. Emotions, memory, we can experience. They're all objects of experience. Matter, mithya, all we experience. So they're all real. All these are unreal when we put the vision of knowledge, vision of wisdom. It's like a matrix. Bhuta prakriti moksham cha means here you just temporarily disregard bhuta prakriti, then see what remains. That is the actual self. That's the true nature. That's the chit. Like in some meetings or in class, for example, if you are a silent spectator for some time, how you feel as if you're not existent. So make that feeling for the outside world for a time being. So then that's how, like it's like udasinavat. It's not like they will vanish by themselves, but you tag them as unreal. Neglect everything you experience for a moment. Annihilate them as anatma, prakriti, kshetra, mithya. Then what remains is your chit. What you see is chidakasha, a white haze, objectless awareness. Then sail effortlessly in the ocean of life. Recognize aham satyam jagan mithya, and therefore the world cannot touch me. Iti ye vidu te paramyanti. They alone attain the freedom from the fear of the world, fear of death. and that is called Jivan Mukti. Param here means moksha. This is the final benefit of self-knowledge. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Komal, for a nice explanation of the concluding verse of this chapter. With that, we come to the end of an amazing 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of the Upanishads. Our practice is to study one prayer verse, and we have selected one of the Shanti mantras of the Atharva Veda. Ullas, please.
Thank you, sir. Hari Om. Like every Shanti part, this Shanti part also belongs to the Veda. It is from Atharva Veda. And some of the popular Upanishads before which we chant this Shanti part are Mundaka, Mandukya, and Kaivalya Upanishad. Now, we all want our future to be glorious. And our future is a resultant of all the actions that we do in our present, as well as what we have done in our past. Now, all the present actions that we do are our self-effort. And for those, we want to pray that may everything be great. And for the past actions, we get adrishta phalam. Now, this adrishta phalam can be a positive or a negative. So we want to make sure that that is also on our side. So we want to pray to make sure that is either nullified or at least reduced. So here we are requesting for that we can do self-effort as well as we get divine grace. So with that intention, let us chant the Shanti Pata together. Om Bhadram Karneभिः शृणुयाम देवा Bhadram पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः युषेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The first it says Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunayama Deva Bhadram Pashyemak Shabhir Yajatraha. Here Deva and Yajatraha are the presiding deities. Like in a government we have different ministers. Similarly, we have different organs in our body on which some of the devatas preside. So we are trying to please them so that our studies go effortless and obstacle-less. What is Bhadram? Bhadram means auspicious, whatever is Mangal or whatever it causes Ananda. And spiritually, there is only one thing which is auspicious, which is Brahman. Karnebhi means whatever I hear from my ears, may that be auspicious. And what is auspicious? Again, anything that we hear about Brahman. So may my Shravanam be about this knowledge of Brahman. Pashyema, whatever I see. Again, if we talk spiritually, it should be auspicious that I see in everything and every being Brahman. Next, Sthirai Rangai is Tushtuvam. Sthirai Rangai means I need to make sure that if I have to come to the class, sit for 1 hour, then I need to make sure that my limbs are strong, my body can handle all that. So, expecting physical health. Tushtuvam Sastanuvihi. Now we have seen in chapter 10 and 11 that the Lord has so many glories, and if we can meditate upon that, then we can also focus our attention. So may I sing your glory. Stu means stuti. So may I have that body by which I can sing your glories. Until when? Deva hitam yadayuhu. When we are young, we would say, I want to live longer. Sometimes old people would say, may this end soon. So the gods would get confused. So here it says, until the time the Lord has allotted me, until that time I want healthy body so that I can enjoy that and I can sing your glories. Next, Swastina Indro Vriddhashravaha. Here we are trying to say that when we are going on this spiritual journey, then we need blessings of all the devatas. We want them to bestow well-being on us. And the principle is that if we are praising somebody with a particular adjective, then that is a particular benefit we are seeking. For example, if I say, oh, you the protector, that doesn't mean that you give me 100 rupees. It means that you please protect me. So here they say, Indra, oh, the glorious one, which means that I want to be glorified. I want to be the glorious one. Swastina Pusha, oh sun god, which is Pusha, which is the nourisher, please bless me, because I want to be nourished with this knowledge. And he's the Vishwa Veda, he's the knower of the world. So I am seeking knowledge here, the same knowledge. Swastinas Tarksho Arishtanemihi. Here, Tarksho means Garuda. And as we know, Garuda is Lord Vishnu's Vahan. He sees no obstacles, just like a president's car. Whenever the president's car comes, all the obstacles are cleared. Similarly, may all my obstacles from this spiritual journey get cleared. That is the prayer. Swastino Brihaspatir Dadhatu. Now we obviously need a lot of intellect and intelligence to understand things like it is said in the Vedanta that I am not in the world is in me. Now, that's not very easy to understand unless we have a great intellect. So may I have that intellect? I am requesting Lord Brihaspati to grant me that. And then at last we have the same three Shantis which say that I get the Adhyatmik Shanti, things over which I have full control, the Adi Bhautik Shanti over which I have limited control. For example, my internet goes off or the electricity goes off, and Adi Daivik Shanti on which I have no control, like an earthquake, etc. So here in this verse, here in this Shanti part, we are requesting that everything goes fine for my spiritual studies. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you, Ulas, for a nice explanation of this famous mantra, Badram Karne Bihi. These mantras are very powerful, beautiful to listen and to chant. But if you know the meaning as nicely explained, then anybody who prays makes a more meaningful prayer. As is our tradition of the Gita Jayanti, we conclude each class with a story to meditate on. And a little background for the story is this. To succeed in this world, both in the inner world or in the outer world, it is said three things are necessary, and it is titled as Prayatnam, Kalam, and Daivam. The word Prayatnam comes from the word Yatayaha. Yati means a sannyasi, a person who's given up the world outside and he's striving to attain to Parama Purushartha. So whenever you're doing a prayatna, your effort should be consistent and in a very specific direction. And that is what is called prayatnam. Now, I may do consistent effort in a specific direction, but when will it yield results? That is what is called kalam. I do not know how long it takes. It is not just time and my effort. There is a third entity called Daivam, or God's grace. That is why the first Shatkam of the Bhagavad Gita talks about our effort, our prayatna. The next 6 chapters talk about being able to access grace. So it is a combination of the grace of God as well as my effort along a certain amount of period of time that brings about success in any venture. If you go through the story of Gautama Buddha, for 7 years, Buddha went out in search of Parama Purushartha. He went through all the masters available. He could not find. He went through extreme austerity. He reduced his body to a skeleton. It so happened that he had to cross the Niranjana river, which is a tiny stream, but his body was so weakened by fasting and austerity that he got almost washed off, and he held on to a twig of a tree. And seeing him in that pathetic condition, there was a lady who was passing by, offered him some milk, something to drink. It is not the custom for a monk at that time to accept anything from a woman. But that time he had reached his limit. He said, enough is enough. He gave up even his effort to succeed. He accepted some milk, and for a moment he decided that he is even going to give up his efforts. And it is said within 24 hours, overnight, as the stars began to fade and the sun began to rise, Buddha realized became enlightened. So what is this story? So that it is not just our efforts. Sometimes it may be that putting too much efforts is the one that is blocking. So we not only have to put our efforts, there may be a right time when we have to be able to access grace. With this background, let me share a story of a temple which was located on a certain island, which had 1,000 bells, and it is said that they were crafted by great musicians, that when the wind would blow, this temple 1,000 bells would sing in a ring in a certain musical symphony, which was enchanting. Over the years, because of global warming, the sea level elevated. With that, the island got submerged. And with that, the temple and the bells were submerged under the sea. But the legend persisted. The people in the nearby village said that if you are by the shore and if you are very attentive, you will still be able to listen to those temple bells. And it is possible that just by listening to those enchanting bells, you can have a transformative spiritual experience. A young man who heard the story reached this village, came by the shore, and paid great attention to listening to that faint sound of the bells. But all he could hear was the waves and the wind. And he persisted and persisted. He made enough efforts because he had heard so much about the transformative ability of these temple bells. And then he would get frustrated. He goes back to the village, and then he would hear the local folks speak about the legend in such glorious terms about the wonderful symphony of the temple bells. He would come back again to the shore every day, every evening. He persisted. A month passed, nothing really happened. And then he finally came and said, today is the last day. And for the first time, he looked at the shore, he looked at the waves, he looked at the sky, he felt the wind. He was at ease at the surrounding. And as he just relaxed, he could hear a faint bell. He suddenly woke up from as if it was a trance. And then another, and then another, and a glorious musical symphony. And that is the story. Anthony de Mello at the end of the story says, if you really want to see God, you have to look into the creation. And the more you pay attention to the creation, someday that will lead you to the Creator. Hari Om. Thank you very much. We will conclude today's class by the chanting of the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita by Panaga. Panaga, please.
हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। अथ पंचदशोऽध्यायः पुरुषोत्तमयोगः। श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवेत्।
अधश्च ऊर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखाः गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवालाः अधश्च मूलान्यनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके।
न रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा।
ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यं यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये। यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी
निर्मानमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ताः सुखदुःखसंज्ञैः गच्छन्त्यमूढाः पदमव्ययं तत्।
न तद्भासयते सूर्यः न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम।
ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनः षष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति।
शरीरं यदवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि वाशयात्।
श्रोत्रं चक्षुः स्पर्शनं च रसनं घ्राणमेव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयानुपसेवते
उत्क्रामन्तं स्थितं वापि भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः
यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितं यतन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः
यदादित्यगतं तेजः जगद्भासयतेऽखिलम् यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम्
गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा पुष्णामि चौषधि सर्वाः सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः
अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापानसमायुक्तः पचाम्यन्नं चतुर्विधम्
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत्वेदविदेव चाहम्
द्वामिमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते
उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः परमात्मेत्युदाहृतः यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्तव्यय ईश्वरः
यस्मात्क्षरमतीतोऽहम् अक्षरादपि चोत्तमः अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रतिथः पुरुषोत्तमः
यो मामेवमसम्मूढो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं स सर्वविद् भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारत
इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदम् उक्तं मया नघ एतद् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृत्यश्च भारत ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे पुरुषोत्तमयोगो नाम पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्
Thank you, Pannaga and Diksha, for a wonderful chanting. Session 13 of Gita Jayanti will conclude with this. Coming Monday, let's take up some more shlokas for our study. Thank you all for your wholehearted participation. Let's meet on Monday evening, same time. Please log in before 6:45 p.m. local time. Let's conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.